Welcome to my fourth weekly review, and today I'll begin with a few quick news. This upcoming week, I'll release finally my 100 days experience. I'll synthesize everything, I'll share my Notion pages with all of the lessons and everything, and I'll talk about all of that hopefully Wednesday. If I won't be able to finish that video till then, it might come out a bit later, but for sure next week. And now the second thing that I also want to talk about is that I'm still figuring all of this YouTube and my place in it. I'm still sometimes doubting if I want to continue or not, but I believe that I have to keep going, and if I see that this is not helpful or that this is not something that I see doing myself in the near future, then I'll stop. But for now, I believe that I'm sharing some value, and I believe that I'm doing a good thing here. At least this is my main purpose of all of that thing. All right, so this Monday I called it trying and applying. I tried to apply my new lessons that I learned last week that I've talked and shared. Then I went to Under the Influence. I tried to find my way out of these videos and all of the entertainment that I was indulging in. But then throughout the week, I saw that I was captured in it, and I didn't really find a way to get out of it. But Friday, it is getting to me. I spent over an hour outside without anything and just with my thoughts, and I was thinking about a way, a solution to breaking free of those relapses and just skyrocketing my self-improvement journey and help with that to all the other people. And I think that I came up with quite some interesting strategies and a few models of all of that. I'll be testing these out throughout this next week, and on the weekly review number 5, I'll share all of those experiences. Hopefully, I'll have found something very useful to all of you. And another interesting experiment that I did was yesterday. Well, I woke up, I did all of my productive stuff, all of my habits, but then it was Saturday. I wanted to rest. I had some feeling that I need to do something that is easy, even though that's wrong. And I thought to myself, what if I tried to do an experiment and I spend my morning next to watching movies, and then I'll see if I can just stop and work for the rest of the day. But this was a mistake. After the first movie, already I was feeling pretty bad, pretty terrible. I wasn't awakened completely still, and then I had to go to get some groceries, and I didn't feel like going. Even that small of an act of discomfort, I really wanted to eliminate it, and I wanted to just keep watching something or doing something easy. But I still went. I got my groceries, came back, and then I proceeded watching another movie. Then that's where I should have stopped. But I couldn't. and then I watched another two. And after that, it was already very late. And then I just watched some YouTube videos. I learned from them, but then I also scrolled through shorts, and I ended my day, as you can see, with 17 in the metrics. And what I understood was that it is very, very hard and impossible for me that has such a high intensity of addiction towards the instant gratification and all of the entertainment like this. And it's almost impossible for me to break out of it. Even today, where I actually plan to not watch anything and to do only the hard stuff, I couldn't because of yesterday. My brain got disrupted by all of those movies and videos, and today I wasn't strong enough to just choose discomfort and work hard throughout the whole day. And this experiment shows to me that we shouldn't never spend a long time next to those videos, movies, and so on. And it does not only affect us that day by making us think about the plot and what we learn about it, what we saw in that video, movie, media. So already our cognitive function is getting disrupted and works throughout the rest of the day without us wanting to spend that effort on these thoughts. But it also influences the next day, and I believe Monday still it will be very hard for me. Now I'll be applying all of those new strategies that I came up with, so I'll share my experiences with that, and maybe those will solve all of my problems. Now, on the Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember, but let me share my story from that day. It was the morning. I was going to the university. I was taking the bus. Here in Lithuania, we have a simple app, and every bus has its own triple-digit number, and we can just type in that number in the app, and that's how we buy our ticket. Now, I entered into the bus. I wrote down the ticket. I saw that it was not the right number, but I didn't think much of it. I just left it like that. Now, I typed 332, but then at this stop just before mine, some controllers got in the bus and controlled everyone, and my ticket wasn't valid. Now, here, my reaction was kind of interesting. I was kind of frozen. I was very uncomfortable. And then I remember that I said something, but I didn't really try to push and find myself right in that situation. And when they said that my ticket wasn't valid, I just asked how much I have to pay for that. But I just said I can buy another ticket. And now, so I just bought another, and the right number was 322, so I just got mixed up by one number. And then for the rest 5 minutes, I was very uncomfortable. I was sweating, my face was red. That social situation was very hard for me to take in. But I got over it, and looking back, I reacted kind of good. I could have tried to show that I didn't want to change and that I didn't want to do anything bad with the ticket. It's just that I bought not the right one. And then today again, I took a bus, and now throughout the rest of the week, every time I looked very carefully at the number, and I got them all right. So that was good. And today, again, there were some controllers that got in the bus, and that time everything was correct. I had a valid bus ticket, so that was nice. I felt very good when I knew that I was right this time, and that there's nothing bad that could happen to me. And so if we would look now on the metrics of this week, as you can see, I wasn't doing well for the most of it. But then Friday I did pretty well. Well, that's because I had a lot of stuff to do. I had a lot of lectures. I went to my grandparents' place, and I just didn't have any time to do any bad stuff. So that's basically why I got such a low score. Ooh, and another thing that I want to mention, and for all of that, is that doing these new criteria really helped me, because now my scores are way higher than before, and getting them low is harder, which shows me that these new criteria work better, because I felt like before with the past criteria, even when I had my days at like 3 or 2 or 1 very low, I still felt like that wasn't right. And now getting a low score on these is way harder for me, and I believe that's a way better solution. And now, if you would like to do something similar as me, I would really suggest you to not copy all of this, or you can copy this, but then be very critical about all of that and modify it throughout your next days. See in which categories you get, for example, always a 0, or which categories you get too many points every single day, and you could change up all of that. And now let's move on the mistakes. So as I said, my first mistake was misjudging the importance of getting the right ticket for the bus, and that goes for everything in life. You should and I should be very careful when looking at the details of life, when buying things, when doing things, and always try to do the right thing. And if we do the wrong thing, then I hope that it will be all right, but we should try to fix it. And the other mistake that I made, well, it's the impact of the addiction towards media that I have. I'm very, very addicted to all of that. It is very hard for me to eliminate these things from my life. Even though I know my purpose, even though I know what I have to do, even though I have figured out a lot of things, I still believe that I'm not finding the right key to figure all of this out. Now, Friday, I realized something. And that thing, as I said, I'll test it out and share my experiences later. And now, finishing off with all of the lessons. Well, the most important lessons from all of these, we got a lot of these, but I won't be speaking about every single one of them, because most of them are either already known, or I just don't see that much value in them. So the first thing that I like to mention is that there are plenty of lessons on the internet, and there are plenty of people that are sharing valuable insights with us. But what I learned through my grandma and myself as well, I've seen that happen, is that as humans, we learn the best through mistakes, through personal mistakes. A lesson that we learn through the internet will never be as valuable as the one that we learn by ourselves and by us being wrong, us failing, or us winning even. And so when we learn something, we should always document it and keep it somewhere, just because that lesson will be always clear to us and it will be easy to implement in our lives. But when we are learning through distance and through other people, we have to be very critical about what they say, and probably mostly of the time their lessons will be true and they will have their value. But it is important for us to really personalize those lessons and make them authentic. Try to find ways how we can apply them into our life, then test them out. And if the result is positive, if we can see that those lessons are working, then we can actually share them with other people and use them by ourselves. But just taking the lesson immediately into yourself and think that this is 100% truth is wrong, and we shouldn't do that. And some lessons might be valuable, but we might not be able to apply those for us. And sometimes there is a hidden message behind the lesson that the author might have known very well but didn't word it well, and so that way we wouldn't get all of those intricacies and the complexity behind that topic, that concept, that lesson. And another very important lesson that I think I should share is the one that we should find what we are fighting against, find our enemies. Having those enemies, having something to fight towards, to fight against, that give us fuel to better lives, to try harder and achieve more. And so if you want to reach a lot, if you want to do better every day, you should very much focus on all of that. And you should also look at the emotion and logic. In order to achieve something truly beautiful, we need that emotion. Usually it is the love. We need to have people that we have an indeterminate amount of love for. But we should also have people that we don't have the love, maybe that we hate, or people that did not give the love we give to them to us. And all of that emotional side will give us power, will fulfill us. And then all of the logic, all of the strategies and purposes, goals to reach where we want, we have to have those organized and clear as well. And when we fuse both of these, that's when we can truly achieve what we want. And in my case, for example, all of this fighting my addiction and fighting media, and just fully dedicating myself to my purpose of giving my life to physiotherapy. Well, I've been struggling with that because I didn't have any clear enemies. My life was good enough to not change anything. And that's why this change is so hard for me and for some other people. Having some pain in our past gives us that will to change, that wish to make things different, that wish to prove others wrong, that wish to become better, and then look from up to others. So this has been my weekly review.